Live from Dunamis Church. This is Today at Dunamis. We have a great show for you today, dealing with the inauguration and what's happening with America. The COVID news all around America and in the world. Let's welcome our host, Shaun Co-Host.
Here we are today to talk life at Dunamis.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Hey, Shaun. Hello. We're here. We're still around. We've survived the 2-week lockdown-ish that we've had here in Queensland, and we're still here.
Yes.
We're still alive. We're still here. It's good.
I was just saying to Jake how your introduction always works. I love it when Jake's online and gets me, oh, thanks, Jake. And this is Ed. Hello.
Hey, what's wrong with that? It's good energy. We are building a connection with the audience by waving
We
at
are
them.
connected. Well, today is the 20th.
It is the 20th.
But it's not the 20th in America.
No, it's the 19th over there.
So the 20th over there in Washington, D.C. will be Thursday, the 21st, 3 a.m. our time.
Yes, that's when the inauguration is happening.
And you said, rats, you'll be asleep. But I'm saying, don't worry, Ed, I will be up.
Yeah, of course you'll be
About
up.
5 minutes
Wow,
to 3, I'll be up for this. So
Yes.
do you want me to call you, let you know how it's going?
Yeah. Can you live text me as what's happening as well? That'd be great.
Can, but you might as well just link in yourself. I was visiting someone. We had dinner with a couple and their son on Friday.
Yes.
And Lee and Marcella. And I don't know how I come up there. And it was something like, yeah, sure, send me a text when you're up at 3 in the morning. Because they're like, oh, you won't be able to get up at 3 in the morning. They said, yeah, I'll still be up, due for a run Saturday. I said, oh, you won't be able to get up. I said, I'll send you a text. Go ahead. So at 2:55 in the morning, I sent him a text.
Yeah.
But he never answered me. So he must have just slept through it. He said he would, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyhow, so our time is the 20th, but of course in the United States of America,
Yes.
theme song.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, so in the United States of America, at 3 a.m. in the morning on Thursday for us, it will be when President-elect Biden gets sworn in.
Yes. At the inauguration.
At the inauguration.
Yes.
And what are you expecting or suspecting or looking forward to on that day?
The start of Civil War II. Mass riots. The people against the tyrannical government. This will be the day to watch live.
Okay, I just want anyone to know on Twitter, Google, Facebook, he's only joking. He's not serious. Please don't delete our accounts, okay? Or block them or stop us having groups.
I don't think
His name is Ed. It's not my name, okay? Yeah. Oh, no, but seriously, what are you expecting?
I expect there will be it'll be a good video production.
You got some photos of what it looks like.
We got some photos right
now. I saw you.
We got some photos of what they're currently setting up for it. So they've set up a bunch of flags, 200,000 flags they've got set up because they can't attend right now.
Yeah, so that's all flowers, right?
No, flags. Those are all
flags
with lit up differently. So that's
what it looks like on low level.
Yeah, like on the low level, and there is a total of 56 light beams that will be lit up in the evening to represent the states and territories of America. So so that's what they're doing for inauguration, because you can't have people there because of COVID and all the threats of violence that are currently out there.
Well, I understand nobody's allowed really in.
No, yeah, like the whole of Capitol Hill, I think, is on
lockdown.
Military lockdown.
Yeah, they have 20,000, I think it is, National Guard. Right now, that's more than all of the American soldiers in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Combined.
Yeah, it's almost as many as people held up at Capitol Hill as there was in the Civil War, I think is what people were saying. They were saying the amount of people that's at Capitol Hill is almost to what it was at when they had the Civil War at Capitol Hill.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how many people are there.
Yeah, and I also saw where they were vetting the National Guard, and I think it's 12 they've sent out saying that they had sent tweets or
supported Trump.
But it's like a double edge. I mean, I understand one sense, but in the other sense, these are meant to be military who aren't supposed to be. I mean, does that mean then if you have American Muslim soldiers, they can't go to Afghanistan or Iraq because they might turn on their own?
Yeah, turncoat.
It has happened, I suppose, but I mean, I don't know. So it's a tough thing, isn't it? I think that right now there's such a division.
Yes.
And for me, I pray nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, me too.
No, seriously, I really pray nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I pray that people just calm down.
Yeah, chill out.
Chill out. The devil is not in control.
Yes.
God has not forsaken us.
Yes.
You might be in a storm, in a boat, but Jesus is in the boat with you. He just happens to be fast asleep.
Yes.
Do you know why he's fast asleep?
Because
He's not worried.
He's not worried.
He's not worried. So stop worrying. Just
He's no worries.
chill out. God's in control, okay?
Yeah, don't worry.
But we got to just relax and put our faith in God and not a man,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
I understand that with President Trump's leaving, which will be a couple hours before the event,
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but I understood he wanted a big fanfare. He isn't getting it. I even understand that Vice President Mike Pence won't be there. There's a bit of a fallout.
Yeah. So Trump, before the inauguration, is holding a rally at the Joint Base Andrews, and the only person who's going to really be there is loyalists and Trump. Yeah, Pence isn't going to be there. Pence will be at the inauguration. Trump won't be at the inauguration.
And a lot of the GOP leaders, like the Senate House.
Yeah, they'll all be at the inauguration,
they
that kind
won't
of
be,
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, his leaving is supposed to be a little bit before, but it is sad.
Yes.
It's sad on both ways. You know, I think it's sad, Ed. I mean, I think it's sad and really sad. I was reading in the newspaper, and it said there that as Biden and his wife, Jill, right, flew into Washington, and it said there that Biden had to fly on a commercial plane.
Yeah, commercial plane.
There's a picture of the pilot out there with his cell phone taking a picture of the Bidens coming off, you know what I mean, the plane, because he was like a big deal.
Yes.
You know, he might apply for Air Force One pilot. I know that's not him. But it's a bit sad because seemingly President Trump didn't extend the courtesy of a government plane.
Yeah.
Whereas when Barack Obama was president and giving it to Trump took the government plane.
Yeah, it took the plane. Yeah.
It's also sad that President Trump hasn't called Biden to congratulate him on winning.
Yeah.
And it's also sad that President Trump has not invited Biden to the White House before the inauguration. And so even the cooperation and transition is very tepid, not so good. And Trump will not greet Biden on January the 20th because there's that thing. Do you remember, I don't know if you remember when Obama and Michelle greeted President Trump.
I remember
gave
that.
the Tiffany's bracelet to Melina and all that stuff there. So it's none of that. And Trump won't attend the inauguration. Now, I know there's some of you out there going like, well, he shouldn't. Well, let me tell you something. As Christians, we need to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard on the news, it was Hillary Clinton, you know, who for the last 4 years said she really won, but she didn't win, and that the Russians did it.
Russia.
And she was interviewing on her podcast.
Yes.
I wonder if she gets more people on than we do.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's as entertaining.
Yeah, I think we're growing.
Yes.
Okay? And she was interviewing your favorite, Nancy Pelosi.
Ah, yes, Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. And all Hillary could say was, it was the Russians during this Capitol.
Yeah, they were behind it. It was all Russians.
She said if you grabbed hold of the phone of President Trump, you would see that he was on call to Putin.
Yeah,
you know
Putin. Yeah.
I mean, like, look, not only do I wish Hillary would build a bridge and get over it, but I'm praying to all my friends and President Trump.
Yeah.
Please, do we have to hear for the next 4 years, I was robbed, it was mine, it was robbed.
Yes.
As we'd say in sports, would you play the whistle rather than the decision?
Yes.
The whistle's blowing, let's get on there. And seriously, yes, I wanted Trump to win.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't prophesy it, though.
Yes.
I want to make that clear. Okay? But he didn't.
Yeah.
And so that's life.
Yes.
And you could sit all day and all week and all month and all year going boo-hoo in the corner, it shouldn't be, and all that stuff. Or could you just, there's some people I don't even want to talk to in America right now because all I want to do is say, he was robbed. I saw it with my own eyes. How did they see it with their own eyes? I don't know. But anyhow.
from your house, your couch on the TV.
Please. Okay, so it just, you know, it's very tragic.
Yeah.
Very tragic. But, you know, as a pastor, as a Christian, I pray for the incoming president.
Yes.
I pray for peace in America.
Yes.
You know, and the Beatitudes, it says, love your enemies, pray for your enemies.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you see them as an enemy, okay, and pray. I'm praying for our own prime minister that he can handle President, you know, elect Biden well, and that it comes into our area of support.
Yes.
As a nation, because America has been a good friend of Australia all the
Yeah.
way back in World War II.
Yes.
And we want that relationship to continue. Isn't that right?
Yes. It'll be good.
Yeah, so most intriguing. But I tell you this much, there's more interest in Australia on American politics than there is even in Australian politics.
Yeah, I mean, I barely hear anything about Australian news outside of COVID stuff.
I know.
I mean, the last thing I can remember hearing was the current, what do you call it? So our prime minister is currently on vacation or something. So we have like a temp prime minister? Acting. We have an acting prime minister right now.
Right.
I don't know his name, but he said something a bit edgy in the Parliament House, and everyone just went up in roar. And that's basically
I think
it.
in Parliament House because Parliament's not sitting.
Oh, okay. He just said something then,
Yeah,
and like that's
Are you
been the
talking
latest
about
politics
all lives
news.
matter sort of thing?
Yeah, I think he said something like that, and that was in the news.
No.
That's the latest thing I've heard about Australian politics. It's been so boring.
I was thinking of this old illustration.
Yes.
I haven't shared it for a few years, so I thought I'd share it.
Oh,
The
good.
story. I called it bird poop. Okay? And it goes like this. You're laughing already. I haven't shared it yet. It goes, the season is changing, and it's time for the birds to fly south for the winter. But one bird thought, I love this weather. They're leaving just too soon. I'll just hang out here for an extra week and catch up with the other birds later. Sounds pretty fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
So it was only a couple of days, and the weather took a sudden change. And the bird realized he had made a mistake and decided that he'd better take the long flight south. Obviously, this is the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh, yeah.
And as the bird began his flight, he got hit by a sudden cold front. It was freezing, and all of a sudden, he noticed ice was forming on his wings. His flexibility was more and more restricted until he began to fall from the sky.
Oh, no.
Yes, oh no, I
Oh,
feel
no.
that way. Yes, you got a sad noise there for me?
Let's see.
Oh, that's good.
Poor
That's
bird.
good. Just nice and soft, yeah.
Poor bird.
Keep it going. I like it. And the bird thought, this is it. I'm going to die. But fortunately, change the music, fortunately.
Let's see. I don't have any happy
Right.
music, sorry.
Fortunately, he landed in a field,
Oh, good.
and the grass broke his fall.
Good.
And he thought, boy, am I lucky.
Yes.
Next minute, a cow stood over him,
Oh, no.
and boom, it pooped right on top of him. Sad music. Oh, okay. And it pooped right on top of him. Oh no, the bird thought, I'm going to die.
Yes.
I'm going to suffocate in this cow poop.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh.
And then he realized how warm he felt. In fact, so warm
Yes.
that the ice that had began to form over his little body began to melt. Feeling was coming back to his body. Then he said, I'm going to live. I'm going to live. I'm going to live. So the bird began to sing and chirp and move with joy and excitement, as a bird would, right?
Yeah.
But with all of the noise, the farm cat came to investigate. And the cat began scraping the poop off the bird. And the bird thought, incredible. The cow's poop revived me, and now the cat is scraping me clear. So the bird chirped and chirped with excitement and chirped and chirped. The more the cat scraped the poop off him, he chirped and chirped and chirped and chirped. And then when the cat had finished scraping the bird ate him.
Okay, so what's the moral of this story?
Okay, so there's three key points here. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Number one, not everyone who poops on you is your friend. Oh, sorry, not everyone who poops on you is your enemy. The cow was not his enemy. So number one, not everyone who poops on you is your enemy. Did you like that?
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so remember that.
Yeah.
When someone poops on you, doesn't mean he's your enemy.
Yeah.
Number two, are you ready?
Yes.
Not everyone who scrapes the poop off you is your friend. And finally, number three.
Number three.
I'm not getting any interaction on our line here, am I? Is it not working? Okay. And number three, this is the final part.
Yep.
When someone poops on you,
Yes.
keep your mouth shut.
All right.
All right. Well,
My takeaway is that if you're ever feeling cold, just find some poo. That was my takeaway from that.
you know, that happened to me one time when I was a kid.
What?
Yeah, no, let me tell you what happened. As a kid, I don't know, 14.
Yeah, that was like in the late 40s, right?
So, and as a kid, my dad got saved.
Yep.
And for this 12 months when he got saved,
Yes.
it was incredible. I don't know, 14, 15. Must have been 14. And we went on this, he got this like caravan,
Yep.
family, and we went on a road trip from here up to Cairns. And on the way, we went to a town called Gympie. You ever heard of Gympie?
Yeah, Gympie,
Okay.
yeah.
And we'd drop into all the churches, the Assembly of God
nice,
churches. We'd drop in the churches, and the churches had, like a community and a family.
Yes.
And so they invite us, and so they said to my dad, well, I have a dairy farm. And why don't you come bring your caravan over there and stay a couple of nights with the family?
Yes.
And they're called the Westbrooks. Okay. So we did that. And they had 3 children, Stephen, David, and Janelle. So Stephen was the oldest boy, Janelle as the daughter, and then David. And so what happened is my younger brother and I, it's 2 years, 8 months younger, it was August, but it's still pretty cold.
Yeah.
And, in the morning out there, you have all this frosty ice comes on the grass.
Yeah.
So it must have been like 6:37 in the morning. We were up because why do you want to be locked up in a caravan with mum and dad at 6 in the morning, right? So you jump it out there. We're just wearing shorts, barefoot, as you do in shorts.
Yeah.
And so they call us up, and the grass is just freezing. Just freezing cold. And they were country boys, and I said, oh, we can't, this is freezing. They said, no, just run to a paddy. If you see steam coming out of it, run to a paddy and put your feet in the paddy. And so that's what they taught us to do, run to each paddy. There'd be steam. I know it sounds disgusting, and it was, and I know you wouldn't do it, Ed, but that was the day it was. So every warm paddy we would run to and put our feet in it and keep warm. All right, so not everybody who poops on you is your enemy. Okay, that's the story. So I hope you learned from that. All right, we better move on. Okay. So, but praise God. We'll keep moving. All right. Queensland and the COVID-19.
Yes. Yes. How has your experience been wearing masks almost everywhere, Shaun? How's it been?
Well, if you go to the Gold Coast, you don't wear one.
Oh, that is true.
So how does that work? I was visiting people at Pimpamar and Hope Island yesterday.
Yep.
And wherever I went, nobody wears a mask.
Yep.
It's only when they come back to what they call the Greater Brisbane. Did you know Logan is a part of the Greater Brisbane?
I can't believe that. I mean, how are we in Brisbane? That's what
I don't know, but we're the Greater Brisbane.
We're greater than Brisbane. That's a takeaway from that.
So,
we're greater than Brisbane.
So we had that 3-day shutdown.
Yes.
We had to even wear masks
In the car.
if you're by yourself in your car.
Yeah.
Hello. And the reasoning was, well, we don't want you to forget to wear it when you get
mask,
out.
yeah.
I mean, are you serious? Okay. I still see some people driving around with a mask on by themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just want to honk the horn and go, hello.
You can take it off, don't worry.
So that was 3 days. And so this ends, Friday, 1 a.m. So that's not 1 p.m.
Yeah, it's a very odd time to end it at.
Hey, look, I'm just grateful, so don't knock it, okay?
Yeah.
And, I was at the gym this morning at 3:45.
Yes.
Okay. But nobody was wearing any masks.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, I went to the petrol
Mind
station.
you, at that time, there's only 5 of us in there.
Oh, okay.
But there's nobody.
Yeah.
I wish it was only me, but there's 5. Nobody wears masks. So you went to the petrol station?
Went to the petrol station.
It's got the signs, do not have your face covered.
No. It was like the opposite.
No, you know how it is normally? Don't have your face covered. Now everyone's got their face covered.
Face covered, yeah. Yeah, and I think I was... No, there was only one person who had a mask there. So that was a bit like, hey, come on, man, just put a mask on. It's not that difficult.
Did you say that?
Nah, I didn't go up to him.
I didn't think you're the type to say that.
Nah.
Yeah. So did anybody say anything?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay. Look, they declared on Sunday that the greater area of Brisbane is no longer a danger zone.
No longer a hotspot, yeah.
So why do we still have to wear the mask?
Because the big government said so. So we have to do what the government
State
says.
government. So even today they announced, that there's still no more local cases. Just there were 2 cases that are in quarantine hotel.
Yeah, in quarantine hotel, yeah.
And speaking about those in quarantine hotel, what about our famous tennis players?
Oh, yeah. So the Australian Open is, I guess, happening at some point. And we
February. They put it up to February.
Oh, yeah. So we have a bunch of tennis people.
75,
Tennis
I think,
players. Yeah, 75 from out of...
Who are in quarantine.
in quarantine right now, not from here, basically. And, you know, a lot of them have been dealing with it fine, just being in the hotels, you know. But then some of them have been complaining.
I think a lot of them.
And they've been, the word would be, they've been described as entitled babies, which I find that to be very funny on a US Today article. A majority of the tennis players have been handling it well. A few have taken their complaints to social media, cribbing about the food and the boredom and the inability to get a haircut. So that they've been complaining about that. And one tennis player, Roberto, I can't say the rest of his name, compared to being in a pretty nice hotel room in Melbourne to being in jail.
He's in the Hyatt, I think.
Yeah, so they're in these great hotels, and they're complaining about it and comparing it to being in prison. Hey, if you want to go to prison, Roberto, we can arrange that.
Well, no, the thing is that they already knew this before they came.
Yeah. And now they're complaining.
So suck it up, princess.
Yeah, suck it up. Script
Okay,
being
I mean,
entitled
seriously.
babies.
I mean, I think the tennis should have been closed.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're even having this kind of stuff right now.
I mean, like, I don't know why they're having it anyhow. So,
Yeah.
But, you know, not that we have any say in the matter. So that's what happens, you know, doesn't it?
Yes.
Now, I also saw, talking about COVID, some other areas, that I saw in today's paper about Germany.
Yes.
Okay, because now Germany has 16 state premiers, seemingly. And their lockdown, they're in a full lockdown, was supposed to end, I think, at the end of January. Okay, but they've now said it's going to go on to the middle of February.
Yeah, they're going to be going through...
Is it a leap year?
leap year.
Well, it might be less.
They might be going to something called a mega lockdown.
Mega lockdown.
A mega lockdown.
Well, they said that they've also said that there has to be different masks. So you have to have a mask with a filter.
A filter on it.
So those surgical ones is not good enough now.
Yeah.
So they're going to be saying that you have to wear a filter mask in shops and on public transports. I wonder if they're going to have those big shelf
Yeah,
things.
the big ones like you see when
Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah.
Okay, so... But, you know, they've had 47,263 deaths in that nation. So that is still very sad to see that. And speaking over that side of the world, in the United Kingdom, it said that yesterday that they had the highest number tested positive, which is 1,610 in a 24-hour period. And the UK has had 91,470 deaths.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
91,000. They're going to hit 100,000.
Oh, easily.
And the United States broke 400,000.
Yeah. Yeah, only just this morning, I think it was.
So just between the United States and the UK, you know, you're talking about 500,000 people.
Yeah. Pretty big.
That's just, it's really heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
You know, I know people who've got friends and family over there, so I know it's really difficult. So just breaks your heart. I mean, just so sad. You know, but it comes around, and I mean, I know Ireland's only had like 2,500, but they're still recorded as having the highest number per 100,000.
Yeah, per 100,000, yeah.
So, you know, that's just, it comes in for what happens. But, you know, there's a lot of things happening there, so it's very sad.
Yeah, so much death, so much.
Yeah, I agree.
Sadness,
well,
yeah.
you know, Pam Davis is saying there online that surgical masks don't actually do much. Well, you know, let's be honest. When they first started, they said masks were ineffective.
Yeah.
In America, that doctor guy said ineffective. Then they changed their mind. And
then they changed
over
their
here,
mind.
then all of a sudden they're saying masks. I'm like, it's like
And
a
then the
flip.
WHO kept flipping like, yeah, they do work. No, they don't work. Oh, we said they didn't work so people wouldn't rush out and get them so the medical people could get them.
Yeah.
But then if they don't work, why do the medical people need them? And it's just this very mixed confusion of mixed messaging.
I mean, the thing is, I just can't figure out what's what. You know what I mean? And that's the problem, is that we're not getting the right information to tell us, you know, what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that people are just grasping at straws. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that to me is a real sad situation. Very sad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that wants not really fault them because they're just trying to look for answers, and there's no one giving direct answers. So you know, it's a tough situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I know. But we need to have cool
and
calm.
Yeah, don't get
And
all...
it's so easy to react.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I have a friend, he's a pastor, and he had someone say to them, I've sent this video of anti-vaccination, you know what I mean? And I want you to show it in church. And the pastor said, well, I respect your opinion and I respect your decision, but I'm not showing it in church.
Yeah.
And the guy basically went like, well, are you going to watch it? And he said, well, with respect, he said, I'm not decided to do that. He said, well, I can't be in your church. I mean, like, it gets down to this. I mean, like, seriously, I mean, it's just the division that comes in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people will say, well, the media is divisive. And it is.
It is, yeah.
But so are all the people sending the conspiracy theories out there as well. You know what I mean? And, all these things are just real sad and really terrible what's happening. And I feel for people, you know what I mean? And it's just really, really sad. Really, really sad. Really sad. So I just pray that things will settle down and that we'll get a level head and we'll just work it out. Yeah. That's what I pray. So.
Hey, God's on the throne. It's all good. It's all good, people. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it. Sound New York now.
Yeah.
The Italian from New York.
Yes, my accent's whack.
Yeah, but, God's always in control, so we have to take that attitude and just work towards it, and just keep moving forward.
Exactly.
Amen? Exactly. That's what I find the most interesting.
Yes.
So what else has been happening in your life and where you're at?
Oh, specifically with me right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got this crazy new piece of technology called a virtual reality headset.
A what?
A virtual reality headset. It allows me to see into the virtual world. I put these massive goggles on and it allows me to, with screens on them, and it allows me to be immersed in a complete unique world never seen before with infinite creation. It's really fun.
Does it give you a headache?
It gives me a little bit of motion sickness depending on what I'm doing in it. But other than that, it's been really fun.
What is it like to read in the Bible? Like you're walking through the Bible? Or
No, I don't read the Bible with it. On the screen isn't...
You do read the Bible,
best.
right?
I do read the Bible.
Okay,
yes, I read the Bible. I don't read it with the VR headset, though. Because it's... Yeah, I wouldn't... It would just make my life harder having to read... Text doesn't look the best with it. It's still good, but if you were having to do long-term reading, I'd probably do straining on your eyes. But it'd be really fun.
But seriously, what do you use it for? Games?
Games. But specifically, there is this really...
How old are you?
Hey, what is this supposed to be?
20...
You're still 26 and playing video games? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, you get up at 3 a.m. and go for walks. You're crazy, man. We all have our own special hobbies.
Okay, first of all, I get up 3 a.m. to spend time in my Bible first.
Okay.
And then I get to the gym by 3:45.
Yeah.
And I work out.
Hey,
and then I do a run.
We all have our ways to chill out and
But I just think
relax.
that a workout for you and a run might be healthier.
Hey, I'm doing physical stuff when I'm in virtual reality. I'm not just sitting. I'm moving and stuff. Hey, that's like a workout, man.
Yeah.
Hey, stop judging me, all right?
Okay. I wouldn't stand for it. I sit down.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting down right now.
Okay. Yeah, but whatever, that's your relaxation, is it?
It's fun. I get to play this really good.
And do you do it with other people?
Nah, just all by myself.
Oh, so there is a way you can play these games.
Yeah. There are games where you can interact
with other people.
But I don't want to talk with people. I just want to shoot guns.
So
pew, pew, pew.
Okay. There might be another program. Okay. Huh? Well, that'll be interesting with the Rifle Association. What do you call that? The American gun thing.
Oh, what nah, I got no idea. Oh, it eludes my mind. I cannot remember what it's called.
But whatever that rifle thing is, I mean, I think they're worried with the Democrats basically holding a form of balance of power in all three levels: president, lower house, and the Senate.
Yes.
Especially with the Rifle National Association, isn't it?
Yes, that's I think that's
RNA, Rifle National. I don't know what it is, but I mean, because it might be putting in gun control.
Oh no, gun control. Oh no, that's awful. Oh no. Well, okay, so if you want, we can talk about it. So I've heard an interesting take on gun control, and one of the main issues that people who want more gun control in America say is they don't want to take guns from people. It's just that there is one loophole they want fixed, and it's the gun show loophole. Have you heard of this loophole?
No.
So when you buy guns in America, you need to, have a license. You need to go through a background check.
You got to get vetted first.
You got to get it vetted, and then you can purchase weapons.
A license.
A license.
So you got to get vetted before you get a license.
You get a license,
you get a gun.
And then you can purchase guns from people who are authorized to sell guns.
Gun dealers.
Like gun dealers, gun shops.
But what if you had a license, and I want to buy your gun?
So then there would have to be a transfer from that weapon from me to you.
Yeah.
However, if we were at a gun show, that just doesn't exist. You can just sell a gun to someone.
But that's not in every state.
That's not in every state. It's a loophole in
It'll probably
some
be
states
in,
that they want to come down on.
Nevada or something.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Maybe Texas. I don't know the exact states.
Well, you always pick on Texas.
Oh, no, I love Texas. Is great. If I lived in America, I'd live in Texas. I'd love to do. That'd be awesome.
I don't know where I'd live, but anyhow.
I mean, it'd be a bit hot, but I'm used to hot weather, so that's okay.
Well, look, Americans. It's hard. It's very hard to talk to Americans about guns.
Well, it's hard to talk about anything about them.
The weapons, because it gets very touchy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I know pastors
Yeah.
who have people in their congregation with pistols.
Yeah, I mean, there was that.
And I know pastors
Yes.
who actually carry the pistols on them when they're preaching.
Oh, that sounds cool as. Jake.
Really?
Why not?
Well, several reasons. One is, guns don't give a second chance if it goes off.
Oh, I know.
And I do know where one of the guys in the security almost pulled a gun out on somebody running down the aisle, and it was his wife who pulled him back in.
Yeah.
Okay, because he thought it was the area. So
Yes.
I it's just my opinion. I'm not denying the rights of people having guns, but it's just an awkward discussion point.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we don't have that here, so
Yeah.
praise the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm going to a lot of schools that have gun detectors you got to go through to get into school. So
Yes, metal detectors and stuff like that.
that's right. Sorry, metal detectors.
Yeah.
So it's a real difficult thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, it's an intriguing time,
Yes.
and we just got to keep praying,
Yes.
praying for God to have mercy and God to have favor.
Yes. I guess it's difficult from an outsider's look at what's happening and then happening. So, because we don't live there, so we don't really know how.
I mean, I know Australians.
Difficult it is,
I know
yeah.
Australians, people here who have guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's rifles.
Yes.
I know one of them has a pistol. Okay, you got to go special license, but they have rifles,
Yes.
for hunting and shooting.
Yeah, and then you got to keep them in safes, keep the
But they're not
ammunition.
like
safe.
semi-automatics,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can't do the pump action shotguns.
Yeah.
So those things there. And I have gone shooting in America. I went pheasant hunting on more than one occasion.
What hunt? What?
Pheasant.
Oh, pheasant. Yeah.
Yeah, pheasant.
Rodents.
No, pheasants are a bird.
Oh, oh, whoops. Okay.
It's a big bird, and you eat the meat of the chest.
Oh,
and the ear.
okay,
That's very
okay.
nice. Have the male's the big plumage tail.
Yes.
It's around that November time you go out there. So I'd go to a pheasant farm.
Oh, nice.
They have pheasant farms.
Yeah, yeah.
And they grow all of the wheat, corn
Yep.
for the birds, not for harvesting. And so you go up and say, okay, I'll pay for 6 birds.
Yep.
And they go ahead and place them.
Yep.
They grab them and spin around and make them dizzy. And they put them into the field
Yeah.
so they don't fly off. If you don't spin them enough, they'll fly off.
Yeah, yeah.
Put them in the field. Then a little bit later on, you come out with a guide.
Yep.
And they have the dog. And you're wearing safety gear.
Yes.
And the guide with the dog runs along the outside of the field. And when he thinks he finds a bird, he points. The dog points.
Yep.
And the guide looks to make sure everything's right. And then he positions you in the right way so no one shoots each other. And then he sort of scuffs the ground and the bird flies up, but you're not allowed to shoot it until it's in the air.
Oh, okay.
And probably you don't get every bird.
Yeah.
So if you're paid for 6, you might get 3.
Yeah.
They either run away, fly away, or you're not good enough shooting. 3, 4. So you come to those areas. So, it's some people would find that gross.
Yeah.
But, the way it is, it's, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've been invited out on a deer hunt,
Oh, yeah.
but I just can't do it. I just said I can't shoot Bambi. You know
Oh,
what I mean? So, those big brown eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
They all think they reckon that the Disney Bambi show's done more damage, but I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love the deer.
Oh, you're a bit soft, Sean.
Yeah. And I'm also not going up in a tree stand
yeah.
before dawn in the snow.
Yeah.
Then I got invited out on a raccoon hunt,
Ah.
called a coon hunt.
Yeah.
And it's up in Michigan,
Yes.
way over on Lake Michigan. It's
Yes.
freezing cold. We're freezing cold. So I got all this Walmart gear, the coats and all these pants. And we had to go out like 11 o'clock at night.
Oh.
And they're called blue tick dogs. Blue tick dogs. So they're a hound dog.
Yep.
About stand long fin, tall looking dog, and you know what I mean. And they have a receiver on them. They put little boots on them for their feet in the ice.
Aw.
And you knew it was cold because when I opened the back of the truck for the dogs to come out, they didn't want to come out. It was too cold. And if those dogs want to come out, it's cold. So we were out for an hour.
Yeah.
But it was just too cold. Those dogs wouldn't do it because they run them up a tree, then you go shoot them. So.
Yeah.
So there's this. I never did anything. So I took all the gear back to Walmart.
Oh.
Not Walmart. Yeah, Walmart.
Yeah,
So
Walmart. Yeah.
So, it was cold. I didn't want to do that again. So I think there was like 8 of us.
Oh, that's heaps. Just going raccoon hunting.
Yeah, but the dogs, it was too cold for the dogs. They jumped back in the car. They jumped out and jumped back in the car because it was heated. And I just said, well, if the dogs don't want to be out here. I mean, I've heard of mad dogs and Englishmen in the heat, but there's a whole other line of must be mad dogs and Michigan men in the cold. But I didn't go out there. So that's my experience. You know what I mean? So it came about there. But yep, it's certainly a different thing there. So they're expecting a lot of different things happening right now with the area. And what about the, where's it from? Honduras, Guatemala to Honduras? The caravan of people.
The caravan, yes.
6,000 to 8,000 people progressing in a line.
Yeah. They're
trying to push through the boundaries.
Trying to push through to Mexico to then eventually get into America because Biden's going to be a lot more softer on border control and wanting to accelerate I guess migrants becoming citizenships.
Well, I think, didn't he say there's like, I could be wrong, that those who are already illegal in America, I think it's like 10 million?
Something pretty high.
That he would allow to be citizens.
Yes.
But these other people, it doesn't mean them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to see what they're going to do.
Yes, see if they even get through Mexico.
I mean, the nation with the toughest borders and immigration is Australia.
Yeah.
And I saw people in Australia saying, Trump won't let people in. We're far worse than any other country. We're so strict.
Yeah.
And so, you're talking about, remember those people we didn't want when... the
boats were coming in?
No. When Trump first came into power.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened, the deal was made with Obama before Trump came in, that they would take 1,000 something of those people.
I think so. Yeah.
Trump wasn't happy, but he took it, And so that's what came in there. So, there's some unusual things, but we'll see what happens, and we'll just have to wait and just take it from there. But what else can you do? Not much else, is there? I was reminded of a story. I like reading biographies.
Yes.
And I hope it'll be a blessing to some. And it's about how some people have a problem, Ed, of understanding how bad things can happen and how God can be involved.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, and I don't mean disrespect, a hyper faith, that if you're walking with God, nothing bad can ever happen. But Jesus said, the apostles said, that in this world you will have tribulation, you will have trouble.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I always remember this guy. Have you heard of a guy called R.J. Thomas? He was a Welsh missionary.
I feel like you've shared on him before. Yeah.
Well, he was a Welsh missionary to China in the middle of the 19th century, the 1800s. And he had a heart for Korea. But in those days, Korea was what they'd call a hermit kingdom. They didn't have north and south, just the one area.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a hermit kingdom, and no foreigners were allowed. So because of that, he went to China instead and bided his time as a missionary. So, and I love that too. I mean, you might have a call to a nation, but the door hasn't opened, but you can still serve. Yeah. Why do you have people sitting in the church who are waiting for a door to open? And so while they're waiting, they don't do anything for the Lord. They don't do anything,
yeah.
And that's what I liked about this guy, R.J. Thomas. He was waiting for Korea, but no door opened.
Yep.
But he decided he'd serve in China where he could. So in 1865, the opportunity he'd been waiting a long time for came along, and an American ship was called the SS General Sherman. Remember, this is right in the Civil War period, just finished then. Yeah. You know what I mean? General Sherman paddle steamer thing, was going to steam up to, well, not a paddle steamer, but a steamboat, was going to steam up to the TaD River, which is in the capital of what we'd call today North Korea, Pyongyang, okay, in the hopes of luring the Koreans into trade. So R.J. Thomas bought a berth, a ticket on the ship, hoping to meet some scholars in Pyongyang who spoke Chinese because they didn't know the Korean language.
Yeah.
So he got as many Chinese Bibles as he could carry and took them on board with him to go. So he hoped he'd meet some scholars who could understand Chinese so he could converse and they could interpret.
Yeah.
But the trip was ill-fated. And in a port on the way to the capital, some of the General Sherman's the boat crew killed 3 Korean men in a barroom brawl. And when that news reached Pyongyang, the rumors had grown to such an extent that it was impossible to berth. So they said, these Americans hate Koreans, they kill us, don't let them in our country.
Yeah.
So the people of Pyongyang were convinced that the foreigners had come for their children to make soup of their eyeballs. And this was a superstition that came back with the missionaries in China.
Yeah.
Because when the missionaries came in, they took care of the needy, which is orphan kids, and brought them into the house. And so these rumors came in and had the missionaries saying they were eating our children's eyes and everything else. So that's what comes in there.
Yeah.
So when they came in, they blocked the Pyongyang River so they couldn't get in. And there was nothing to do but to turn around and head down the river to leave because they couldn't get into port. But as they turned around to get down, the tide had shifted and the boat SS Sherman got stuck on a sandbank and it was stranded. And seeing them stranded, the Korean defense lashed a series of small ships together, set them on fire, and drifted them to surround the boat General Sherman, which then caught that boat on fire. And everyone on board had to leap into the river to get to the shore.
Yeah.
And as they waded ashore, they pulled out their swords, their cutlasses, but they were all clubbed to death by the waiting Koreans. So they were killed.
Oh, man.
Now, R.J. Thomas also had to wade to shore.
Yeah.
But before Thomas could speak, a club swung with murderous force and dashed his brains into the water. And as he lay there dead in the water, I mean, he got to put his foot on soil and then clubbed to death. And as his body laid there lifeless, the killer noticed that he had not come with a sword, but rather he was carrying arms full of these books. They didn't know they were Bibles.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't read Chinese. But he was carrying these books. Now, think about it for a minute. If all your life you wanted to do a certain call for God,
Yeah.
and you served somewhere else waiting, and it finally comes, you get the boat, and all these things are going wrong, and you finally get off the boat with all these Bibles, and before you can utter one word, you're hit in the back of the head and killed. Okay? So this murderer, this guy who killed him, saw this guy as different. He didn't have a weapon, but he had all these books. And he thought to himself, have I killed a good man? Well, he did.
Yeah.
And he picked up a couple of these wet books, and he dried them off, and he separated the pages, and he saw that they were nicely printed. It was nice paper.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Korean man couldn't read it, but he decided that the paper was good for the outside of his house. And because as it was in Korea and Japan, so many earthquakes,
Yeah.
they'd make the houses with paper
Yeah.
so that if it fell, it wouldn't damage anyone.
Yeah.
So he papered the outside of his house with these pages, as was the custom. But little did he know it was the pages of the Bible. Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyhow, you have to imagine this man's astonishment when he returned from the fields a few weeks later to find a group of scholars, and they had their long nails, and they'd come there reading, okay, who were earnestly reading the walls of his house because they could understand Chinese. Now, one of these scholars got converted
Oh, wow.
by reading the pages of the Bible stuck on this murderer's house.
Yes.
Okay, he got converted. And a generation later, his son, okay, so the guy got converted, his son, okay, or actually worked out to be his brother's son, his nephew, assisted in the first translation of the New Testament into the Korean language.
Oh, wow.
So R.J. Thomas never lived to see the fruits of his labor.
Yeah.
And in fact, as the club swung towards his brow, okay, he may well have thought that the trip had been a tragic mistake and that he died and that his life's purposes were unfulfilled and that his potential was unrealized. But you have to realize that God will turn tragedies into opportunities. And we don't always know how the story ends.
Yeah.
But all we have to do is trust God. And when we trust God, when we let God lead us, then we may well find out that things are totally different than what we expected.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
And this to me is something that's really, really, really important in the life of Christians.
Yes. Hopefully Ian doesn't get his head bashed in when he gets over to...
Okay, you're very funny. Okay. So Ian and the family left today.
Yep.
And to go back to Thailand.
Thailand, that's it.
That's right. And they had already served there 8 years.
Yes.
And they came over here. They have 4 boys. And they came back 2 years ago. It's supposed to only be for a year to have the 2 oldest boys adjust back to life here.
Yeah.
And that was to get them jobs. And one got a trade, I think, cabinet making, isn't it? And everyone got a trade, I think, in construction or building.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to go back a year ago, but COVID hit.
Yeah.
So what was meant to be 1 year was 2 years. And what a blessing it was for us as a church.
It was amazing having Ian here. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I miss him already.
Yeah, me too.
His bubbly personality, his warped humor, his unique style.
And his just amazing guitar playing.
But he is a great musician,
yes,
singer, and worship leader.
Yeah.
And so, he might well have thought, oh, how terrible that I'm not back over there. But rather than him sitting and saying it can't be used, he got involved in the life of this church.
Yeah, exactly.
And, we're supporting him monthly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But, then going back, and I said to him, do you think it's the right time to go back with this COVID? Because there's a lot on. So for them to go back, well, the airfares are inflated anyhow. Yeah. They had to get permission from the Australian government to be able to go.
Yep.
Then they had to do this visa. They went on tourist visas to go into Thailand.
Yeah.
They had to pay in advance for 2 weeks in lockdown in a hotel over there.
Yep.
Then they had to pay in advance, on top of that, another month at another hotel.
Oh.
So they had to do like 6 weeks. And that's the one of the month isn't as severely locked down, but still restricted.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had to pay 6 weeks in advance, to get over before they even done anything. And they're taking the 2 youngest boys with them. I think one's 13 and one's 15.
Yeah.
So, we certainly think of, what they're doing, and we certainly honor them and respect them. And, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And people can feel weak right now during these times of uncertainty. And, what I posted on Facebook today, people might think, well, I can't feel weakness. I've always got to be strong. But it's okay to have moments when you feel weak, because whenever you face a storm or a struggle or some unexpected trial, we have to remind ourselves that God will sometimes allow us to have more than we can handle.
Yeah.
So that he can use those trials to change us or conform us into the image of his son and to teach us to trust him.
To grow. Yeah.
I mean, how do you learn to trust God unless you're under these pressures?
Yeah, if life was just so good, why would you have a reason to trust God?
Well, it's like someone said to me, oh, Pastor, I need to be more humble. I said, uh-oh, be careful how you prayed that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then all of a sudden things happen around you that want to affect, your pride.
Yeah.
And you feel humility. Or someone says, oh, God, make me more loving. I go, uh-oh.
Oh.
So God will bring more unlovely people around you.
And don't pray for patience, people. I prayed, God, help me to be more patient in my wait to find a wife. And, oh, look at that. I'm 26 and still single. Oh, I got patience, all right. I don't pray for that anymore. Don't pray for that if you're single. Don't pray for patience.
I didn't know you were praying for patience to find
I used to pray for patience. I don't pray for that anymore.
So how difficult is it for... I was just preparing a sermon right now.
Yes.
In a new series that will be in June.
Ooh.
I just finished the second one. I think it's like 10.
Oh, is this June 2022 or June this year?
June this year. And it's about Esau.
Esau?
Esau?
Yeah. Like at a park, right? Esau?
The brother of Jacob, the children of Isaac and Rebekah. And it's just looking at the similarities between Esau and Jacob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, for example, many people say, well, Esau was the outdoor type person and Jacob was a bit of a mummy's boy. But when you look at how it describes Esau in the Hebrew, it doesn't mean a mummy's boy, but it means civilized or civil or proper.
Civil.
but we've interpreted it in the West as being mummy's boy. But what it meant was Jacob had the idea of understanding, respect, and courtesies and politeness, whereas Esau was that rambunctious, outdoor, just I'm going for it, get out of my way, I'll knock you over.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's just interesting comparing it to how the Hebrew would see it to how we see it in the West. But it's just interesting because when Isaac, was 40 and wasn't married, okay, so Abraham sent out his servant, okay, to find him a wife. And he said, but don't get a Canaanite woman. It must not be a Canaanite woman. We might live in the land of Canaan. We might do business in the land of Canaan, but I don't want him to marry a Canaanite woman. This worldly woman doesn't have the same beliefs. Yeah. So the story was a servant went out to find him the wife. And it was interesting that when they sent Jacob off to go get a wife, he went back to the same land to where his mother came from. Esau said to him, don't marry a Canaanite woman, But the problem was when Esau went, it just said, and Esau went out to please his father and married a Canaanite woman. Mm-hmm. And there's no diligence given to Esau by the father with the same words. Maybe it's because Esau's always been that rebel. He's always been that outdoors. He's always been that character. He's like, I'll do it my way. And his father, favored him. He kind of liked that ruggedness and that roughness. Now remember, when the twins were born, Isaac was 60. I'm sure you knew that.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that he saw him differently. But because Jacob was, in the Hebrew term, more civil and understandable, not mama's boy.
Yeah.
He realized he could speak to him and the son would take heed to it. Mm. And, it's so easy in these days to where we take matters in our own hands or we in haste make decisions rather than following things through.
Yes.
All right? So in your search for a wife as a single young man,
yes,
okay, in your search for a wife, what are the important principles that you have learned or are learning?
I think the first thing is to be content.
Okay.
You should be content with who you are and where you are in life. Because if you're not, then a wife will not be able to fulfill you. In fact, nothing will be able to fulfill you if you are not at peace at who you are, where you are at life, and more importantly, your identity and relation with God.
Yeah, and because, if you don't learn contentment, Paul says, I've learned to be content, okay, then you're going to make rash decisions. And that's what Esau would do.
Yes.
Because he wasn't content in who he was and what was happening, and his parents didn't handle it the best way.
Yes.
Okay, there wasn't contentment. Yeah. And contentment doesn't mean I want to stay this way or I want to stay here. Yeah. But contentment means I can handle this.
Handle it, yes.
And I can handle it in God. Okay, so you learned contentment.
So I'm at 90% content. I'm almost at 100% content. I'm almost there. Okay. I'm still working on it.
Saved, single, sanctified, and satisfied.
That's it.
Okay, so I understand. There's contentment. Okay,
yes.
And contentment doesn't mean I want to stay this way.
Yeah, exactly.
But contentment says I can handle it.
Handle it. I'm not being affected.
And that's what should be happening with the elections in America.
Yeah, exactly.
And so those who are disappointed, and I understand that, and are concerned and worried, you've got to learn to be content.
Yes.
With much or with little. You know what I mean? You've got to learn to be content, which means, okay, it may not be what I want, but I'm content. I'm resting in God. What's another thing you've learned in your walk as a single man waiting? Contentment.
Contentment and not getting offended or triggered when other people gloat. Oh, not gloat. That's not the right word. Talk about their marriage. Because it's very easy for jealousy to appear when I see a young couple who's just been married, they're the same age as me, and I'm still single. It's very easy for me to be affected by that. And it's no, I'm not going to be affected by that because I only see the good side. I'm not saying that there's anything bad happening with them behind the scenes, but I don't know what's happening fully. I don't know about what's going
think that's
on,
wonderful.
and
yeah.
It shouldn't affect me.
And that's a good point too, Ed, because, and that's part of, why is it that Christians can show compassion to someone who's hurting, but can't rejoice as someone who's blessed?
Yes.
And it's part of the human nature that leaves much to be desired. And, Sandra and I, the story, we'd already been married a couple of years.
Yep.
but then we found out that we couldn't have children.
Yeah.
Or it's difficult. And so for 6.5 years of trying, so the average was 8.5 years,
Yeah.
no children. And, you'd see baby dedications and different things, and you could see where, well, let's just say some parents were not desirable.
Yeah.
And you'd have tears sometimes, you're like, well, how come they have children like rabbits?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they don't seem to be bothered or even care, and we just want one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to happen. But you have to learn to rejoice with them, and
Yes,
you have to
yes.
learn to look in that area. So that's a very good word, Ed. Very good word. So contentment, and don't allow yourself to become bitter.
Yeah.
Can I use that word?
Yeah, bitter, yeah.
Because the bitterness will rob you of the joy of the Lord.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Contentment, dealing with bitterness.
Yep.
Or disappointment.
Yes.
I think maybe the word disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we use the word means to undo God's appointment. So if you
Yes.
get disappointed, you're undoing the appointment God has.
Yes.
Is there something else you've learned?
The third thing is another thing I've learned would be don't allow yourself to dwell on like the future. Like what I mean by that, I mean talking about like these thoughts. So for me, it's very easy for me to daydream and think about, oh, I can't wait for the day I get married, and I start daydreaming about a wedding. And it's like, no, don't do that, because it becomes unhealthy to ponder or dwell, obsess on something that, well, you start dwelling about it, it's not happening, and now I feel sad. Because this thing I want to happen, I'm now thinking about it, it's not happening, and now I feel sad. It's like, don't allow these thoughts that are, it's not useful to have these thoughts. I mean, I'm still single. Why am I thinking about a wedding? Like, it might be something I want.
There's nothing wrong with having a goal and dreams and a vision,
Yeah.
but as long as those things aren't what's ruling your heart,
Influencing, yeah.
to where it stops you being able to interact and come that area. And I think that's always a problem. So Paul
Yes.
says, think of that in Philippians, which is good and encouraging, strengthening and building.
Exactly.
And we've got to sometimes say to our minds, is what I'm dwelling on good?
Yeah.
Now, is there anything wrong with having a dream for marriage? No. Is there anything wrong with having desire? No. But what happens when it becomes an obsession,
Yeah.
or when it becomes to affect your moods,
Yes.
or when it comes to it affects your attitude, then it becomes dangerous, and
Yeah.
you need to take authority.
Exactly.
Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
So, they're good. Contentment, okay? Be aware of disappointment.
Yes.
Okay? And be aware of our minds and our thoughts.
And bonus point, if you feel up to it, pray for your future spouse.
So would you ever, so many Christians go onto the date service things.
Or they'll go to another church looking for a single woman. But we won't go into that. We won't go into
Okay.
that.
So you're aware of people doing that. I saw a young guy in the church just posted on his Facebook, I'm now in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that just this week. It wasn't you, Jake. Okay, I know you're not. Okay, but I just saw that this week. I said,
Yeah.
do I even know that girl? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, do you ever get, what do you think of that when Christians go onto date sites? I think there's Christian date sites, is
Oh,
there?
yeah, no, there's definitely Christian dating sites. I don't have a
How do
problem
you know
with
that?
Because there's dating sites everywhere, Sean.
I wouldn't know that.
Then how are we talking about it right now, huh?
A date site?
Yeah.
No, I asked you, is there such a thing as a Christian date
There
site?
is. I'm not signed
So the reason
up
why I
with them.
said, how do I know that? Is because I don't know there is.
Okay, all right.
So,
But yeah, there is such a thing as a Christian
so
dating
is it wrong then for a single young man to go on a Christian date site?
I think God can use a dating site.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it because I'm lazy.
You're lazy. Maybe too much with that thing on your head doing games.
Hey.
So how do you find a Christian woman?
Well, I only have a hyper Christian answer for that, and it's trust in God. I know it sounds very like, but that's not an answer. Well, it's like, okay, if you pray for a wife, God will give you a wife. Now, if you pray for a wife and you don't think God's going to give you a wife, then I guess you're just going to take it into your own hands. I mean, it's God, I got this. Even though I've just prayed for your help, God, but I'm going to take over. I believe God's going to give me a wife, but it's in His time. Chronos, I think it is.
Yeah, Chronos.
Like, I'm not like, I got to find a woman. I'm almost 27. I'm almost 30. And I'm still like, I can still do what God has for me to do, both
So
single or
what
married.
would need to change?
Yeah.
So let's say you find that lady.
Yeah.
Okay. What would need to change in your life? Like, what would be the biggest thing, that you feel in finding that women need to change, or what would you do? Like
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, I'm still trying to lose weight. That'd be the main thing.
you think that's an issue?
Oh, I still think it's an issue.
Oh, I would hope not. I think, of course, health is important.
Yes.
I think, not stinking is important.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
yes.
Washing, bathing, cleaning, but I don't think,
I'd hope so. Not either, but
yeah. But I mean, like, what do you think is the biggest change or the thing needed in for courtship? What do you need there? Like, what would you have to offer a woman, a Christian woman?
Oh, okay. I'm trying to sell myself now. Okay. I think I am very loyal.
Loyal and faithful.
Loyal and faithful, like pretty extremely.
Okay. So loyal and faithful.
Yes.
Okay. So when you say extremely, that means that it could be detrimental, that if you don't feel it's reciprocated in the same way,
Yeah, and that's
betrayal.
that's an issue with me. Yeah.
Right. So have something like, I think it's great that you're loyal and faithful, but you have to be careful how you measure it.
Yeah, because then they won't be able to build trust.
There won't be real love.
Yeah.
It'll be a legalism.
Yes. You
surround them in laws.
Yeah.
Which is, we talked about that on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
So what else do you think that you offer?
Oh, okay. I'm very funny. I'm a good person to talk with.
You have a good personality. You're funny. Yes, you certainly are funny. Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. Hey, everybody. I'm here. Okay, you're funny. All right. So you're loyal. You're funny. Okay.
Humble. I'm humble.
Well, I don't see that anymore because you just said that. So I was going to give you the humble award until you came to receive it.
Yeah.
But there is a humility about you, sure. So I'll just say, loyal.
Oh, service. I'm a good servant. That's my spiritual
what's
gift.
your love language?
Oh, we're gonna go into an. I'll
Well,
give you one.
what's your love
I'll give you
language?
my first one is quality time.
Quality time. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Quality time.
Yeah, I like quality time.
Quality time is good.
Yes.
Too bad we don't have Jake on the other side here. That would have been interesting to get him going.
Get him some quality time with Jake. That would be good.
No, I'm talking about getting him to see what he thinks works. But
I could turn his mic on and then maybe he could say something.
We'll embarrass Jakey. We won't do that. He's good there. And, so maybe there's a lady out there. Maybe someone has a sister or a daughter. We'll see. But
in God's time.
In God's time.
God's time.
In God's time. All right, we're going to finish off the program right now, Ed. So how do we want to finish this off?
Make sure you get some sleep and don't worry about the world and the elections and everything that's been happening. Focus on yourself. Why don't you work on your own personal development this week? Figure out a place you could grow in and try and improve yourself. Why not?
And remember this, the sun will come up tomorrow.
Exactly.
And the sun will set in the evening.
Yes.
And as it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, and our God is still God.
Yes.
And to all my friends, especially those in the United States, just remember that God loves you. He will never desert you. And you might find yourself in a boat that you think is in the midst of a tremendous storm. It doesn't mean you're out of God's will. And it doesn't mean that Jesus has deserted you. But he's in that boat. He's fast asleep. And the reason why he's asleep is not because he's forgotten you, because he's at peace that his Father is in full control. Exactly. The Lord bless you. We love you. And keep safe.
Yes. See ya.
God bless.